Hi everyone, I'm Chantel, the Happy Homeschooling Housewife, and welcome to today's Wisdom Wednesdays, where it's all about grades. To grade or not to grade? That's the question. So a lot of people always ask me if I use grades in my homeschooling life, and so I wanted to take a moment to kind of answer that question and share with everyone how we use grades in our homeschool. For starters, I tend not to use letter grades or percentage grades until my children are around fourth grade, and then I kind of ease them into that. So I don't give numerical grades for every subject. I usually kind of isolate the subjects. It's usually math and English and history. Those are kind of the three areas where I start to use grades for my children. And then I add on, as the years progress. And so by the time they're in high school, they pretty much will receive grades for everything. But for us, I think that, if you're considering using grades or not, the real question that you need to ask yourself is, what's the purpose of you using grades? I am a believer of feedback. I think that feedback is the breakfast of champions. And numerical grades are one way that a student can receive feedback and kind of see or gauge how they're doing in a subject matter. And I think that that's really important. So I wanted my children to be able to have access for that themselves and to be able to see and own really their work and their performance. So my wisdom tips with grades: if you are on the fence, if you just kind of don't know which direction you're going to go, I would say to really kind of think about what the purpose would be for you to have grades with your children. It really needs to have an intention. Don't just do it because that's maybe what someone else is doing. Really set an intention for your family and for your kids. And if you do decide to use grades, I would introduce them with a conversation where you can really have a conversation with your children and to let them know what the purpose is, for them to be able to understand from you how you're going to use the grades. If you're using a grading scale, which I would suggest, they should be able to see it. All of those things should kind of happen before you even begin. And then I would my second tip, I would suggest, especially if you're new with using grades, I would suggest you start with one or two subjects at a time. It's a lot to manage if you're managing all the classes that you're teaching. So just to get you with some practice and then the hang of it, I would suggest one or two subjects at a time and then kind of building on from there. My third tip is to have intentional conversations. So your number or letter grade should always go with the conversation, because grades should be informative and should really help motivate a student forward, right? So they can see, oh, this is really where I am. I thought I was, doing A-level work in math, but I'm realizing that I'm really kind of doing solid B-level work. You can use that information, right, that data, to then have a meaningful conversation so that they can see or, brainstorm, and you can help them brainstorm, how do I get from this B to this A goal? What are some specific things that I need to do? So I would also kind of make sure that grades, the number of grades, accompanies a conversation. And my last tip with grades that I would suggest is that if you're grading in a subject, so again, let's take math, you want to make sure that you spread out. So you don't want to maybe just grade the test. So let their homework count, or if they have projects, if they come prepared, and that's especially a struggle area, you want to make sure that you give credit for all of the different components that make up a class, because you might have a student that stresses out. One of my sisters would blank out at test, but she was a really good and strong math student, but test, she would freeze up. So she was able to demonstrate her knowledge solidly in other areas of the course, which helped. So that's what I would say. If you're considering on using grades, think about it, set an intention for your family. If you do choose to do grades, you want to make sure that you have a conversation, frame it, get a grading scale, know and set the expectations for you and for your students. Think about adding on slowly, one or two subjects at a time, and then always have that conversation with the grade so that you can help make a plan to move forward. So, do we use grades? Yes, we do use grades. I said that at the beginning. I start again at around 4th grade and I add on. My kids like it. They're not scared to receive grades because part of our family's intention is that we use grades as a way to help us have real data so that, one, I as a teacher know, well, how good of a job am I doing? And they also can have a picture or an idea about how good they're doing. And we use it to really map a plan forward. We also use it as an accountability piece in our family as well. So grades are a good encourager, especially when your kids get older. They're a good incentive for them to be able to participate in things or do things that are outside and extra to family life. So it's a great way to incentivize. The last intention that we had for using grades in our family is because I didn't want my children to matriculate from our homeschooling life and go to college, and the first time they're seeing grades is you got it in college. So I wanted them to be able to have experience with it and for them to know what it is and not to, for it not to be like a scary thing that they were like, oh, grades. So that's how we use grades in our homeschool. I hope today's little wisdom tip helps you and your family if you are on the fence considering whether you are going to use grades or not. If you have any questions, comments, you want more ideas with this, please leave it in the comment section below because I'm going to read it and respond to you. And that's all I have for this Wisdom Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I'm going to share with you some wisdom from what I'm learning in my homeschooling village, and hopefully it will help to encourage you, inspire you, and to equip you with you and your homeschooling journey. You can follow us along on our personal journey at my blog, which is www.happyhomeschoolinghousewife.com. And if this video was a help to you, please show me the love and like it. And you can also subscribe to our channel so you never miss a video. Thanks so much, guys. Until next time, you know what to do. Stay encouraged and be blessed.